Welcome to the OER podcast, OERizona podcast number 3. Today, I'm going to be joined by the way, I'm Nathan Klein. I'm coming to you from Eastern Arizona College in Thatcher, Arizona. And today I'm joined by Jacob Lauritzen. Hi, Jacob.
Hi, how you doing?
Good. Jacob is an English instructor, professor here at Eastern Arizona College. And he's going to talk to us today about his experience developing open educational resources. So just to get us started, why don't you give us a little background on your coming to OER and how that developed and what inspires you about that.
All right, that sounds good. Thanks for having me. Okay, so how did I come to OER? I've always been interested in publishing and in kind of making my own stuff, if you will. I had a professor when I was working on my master's degree at the University of Akron that he wanted to include students in his work. It's something that administration had said, this is what faculty should be doing. And so he did that, and he was teaching literature courses, but they were all designed about like, let's go make a textbook or something. And I've always been interested in making my own stuff. So when it came to, me becoming a teacher, I'd already been kind of collecting my own stuff, and I published my own textbook. Didn't have a great experience doing that. But when I got here to EAC and, we were pushing towards this sounded great. This was right up my alley and something I was excited to be involved with.
Oh, fantastic. If I remember right, so you started out in um, in a high school setting and started developing your own materials there to some degree. Is that right?
Yeah, I was teaching high school English during the day, and then I was an adjunct here at EAC at night. And so, yeah, and teaching during the summers and at night, and I was building up a lot of my stuff. One of the things that the high school was pushing was a program called Beyond Textbooks. It's come out of the Vail district here in Arizona. And it kind of pushes this idea that, I'm not beholden to my textbook. I'm going to pull in whatever makes sense, which really is consistent with the model for how OER works to begin with. So basically, my whole teaching career was pretty consistent with this idea. I'm just going to pull in and kind of adapt the resources that I need to begin with. And so part of that was me, starting to figure out, okay, well, this is me making my own YouTube videos and writing up my own content for my online courses. And eventually it just made sense to kind of revamp things and make it so it could be OER.
Oh, great, great. So take us through that process. You're going to build something for your students. What process do you go through in order to organize yourself and to inspire yourself and to move forward to actually getting something ready for students?
I think one of the things that really helped with the process is I did my doctorate in e-learning, and so I wanted it to be a good experience for students, to make a good resource for them. And so I've been kind of developing my online courses for years, probably about 10 years at the time that I decided to revamp it to make it OER. And I'd kind of figured out something that worked pretty well as it was, and most of it was free from a textbook anyway. And so what I ended up deciding to do is like, okay, I've done a lot of videos in the past, and I decided I was just going to start from scratch. I was going to make sure that I could build an online course that could also work with my face-to-face students, so I could use all the same resources and just be really efficient. And then I did a little bit of math to figure out, it's like, okay, how do I make sure that all the hours line up for my face-to-face instruction versus online, and tweaked my assignments just a little bit to make sure that there was enough there, added some quizzes and stuff. And then I spent a summer recording new videos. And this was just after AI could kind of hit really hard. And so I updated to make sure I was teaching lessons on AI as well. And so I made about 45, 47 videos for my English 101 course. As I was kind of teaching it, I was unrolling it for my current students during that summer. And then I was just trying to be a couple weeks ahead of them. And then I did the same thing for my English 102 course. So over the course of that summer, when I didn't have any other courses I was working on, just those two, I made close to 100 videos.
Yeah. So you've made a lot of videos, and I think that that's kind of unique in what you're doing is most of your materials are videos for the students. Why did you choose that over text?
Did that for a couple reasons. Um, One, I like videos, which is probably not the best reason. But I find that there's a lot of utility. If I'm, it's a similar, I guess, interaction um, between my face-to-face students and my online students when they don't just have a random video online teaching them how to do it. They have their actual instructor doing it in short chunks, and they weren't like 50-minute videos like complete lectures. I tried to keep them short, 10, maybe 15 minutes at a time for each lesson. And so, like, I tried to get down to that, but I was also thinking about what would make things accessible for students. And I had done the virtual version of the OER conference the year before, and I attended a panel that was about accessibility, and so that was something I was really thinking about: is how can I make my instruction more accessible? And I haven't fully completed this idea yet, but when you record a video, you can also pull the transcript. What I did with my videos is for most of the videos, I burned the closed captioning directly onto the screen, and so the words are popping up as they watch it. A lot of students also really enjoy being able to pause and to go back and kind of control the pace of the instruction, which they don't get to do face to face. It makes them awkward. They don't want to raise their hand. They don't want to show to some other student that they don't know what's going on. But when you're in the privacy of your own home, or you're following up and watching something later, a few extra accessibility features. You can see your teacher, you can hear the teacher, you can pause the teacher, you can read what the teacher is saying. All that makes it a little more engaging and interacting than even just a text on a page.
Well, I think we can all identify with, the student that just won't read and wants to hear sometimes, and
They don't
so
always watch videos either, but
they don't always watch videos either. Well, you mentioned AI and that you've incorporated that into your course. Talk to us about that and why you did it and how that's working.
So at the end of November 2022, OpenAI launched ChatGPT and everything changed. By December, I was hearing how people were trying to create AI checkers to recognize when work was being produced by a chatbot like ChatGPT. By January of 2023, New York school districts had blocked OpenAI so that students couldn't use ChatGPT on campus because immediately people recognized, okay, there's this great utility of it, and it can be used the wrong way too. I think the number is within the first month, 100 million people had signed up to use ChatGPT alone. And so it was very clear it was having a huge impact very fast. And I remember during that spring semester thinking, okay, if I suddenly can't always trust the validity of the written word that's being turned in my English classes, then what can I do? So I started to rethink, okay, what's the core of English instruction? Well, we write, but we write to demonstrate critical thinking, critical reading, and it's the final product, critical writing. So I started backtracking a little bit. Okay, and after some time thinking, okay, how can I be forward thinking about this? How can I incorporate it into what I do? As I revamped my online courses, I would teach a concept like, grammar, punctuation, and spelling. And then at the end of it, I would talk about, okay, now how can AI be a part of this? So I've taught the skill. Here's how you actually write a sentence and fix it. And then, okay, how can AI be a part of that in an appropriate, organic, but still ethical way, right? And then I did the same thing for like writing process and the different essays. And so I was thinking, okay, if I'm modeling the process, I'm telling the students what I'm okay with. I'm also showing them I understand what's going on, so don't try to pull a fast one on me. But it makes it really clear. Instead of just not talking about it and making it so students don't know what's okay or not, I tell them what's okay. We have a discussion. We explain why this is okay or what isn't. Within my classroom, what I'm cool with. Outside my classroom, whatever you want to do is what's listen to the situation to see what's appropriate. But by modeling it, I demonstrate this is what's appropriate here, so that they can learn how to use it appropriately instead of having no instruction on the topic at all.
Well, it's certainly going to change their world as they move forward, and so learning appropriate use is going to be a big deal in the next several years. So I think that's great, and I'm personally inspired by your use of AI in the classroom. Um, so as we kind of wind up this podcast, what kind of recommendations would you give a faculty member, someone who's going to develop their own open educational resource, and what advice would you give them as they're moving forward into the world of open educational resources?
I think it could be really overwhelming for many professors. But the reality is, a lot of us are already doing something pretty similar. If your institution will allow you to really just embrace OER, there's a lot of different ways to approach it. You can just go find a quality textbook that's out there, just adopt that. You can take something and tweak it in a way that works for you to adapt it, or you can build something from scratch. I'm that kind of person that is going to build it from scratch, so that's most of what I've done. But also, I teach a literature course where, I just found a good source that was out there already that I could use. And so I'm at the point to where 100% of my classes are OER, which is, going to help save students some money, but it also gives me a lot of choice and freedom, which I would have wanted anyway. The ability to pick what sources I want to use, to write my own instructions, my own assignments, my own everything, and not be beholden to a textbook written by someone else. And so there's so many different reasons why I think it's really beneficial. It also doesn't have to happen overnight. You can work up slowly. If you're just comfortable using Microsoft Word to create something, you can do that and work your way up. You don't have to do videos, but videos don't have to be complicated either. They could be pretty straightforward, and it is something that I think students appreciate when they take the time to check it out. They're, oh, that's kind of nice. And for me, and that I do both face-to-face and online courses, if I have a student who's been gone, on a trip for a team or a group that they're a part of, they can still see all the same content. They can still see a lesson of me teaching, hear my voice, hear my explanation, and still keep up on all their work and know that that's something I'm cool with because I was the one who made it. And it's a lot of work for, I think, the average person to think, oh, I'm going to make 100 videos in a summer. That's just something that I chose to do, that I was capable of doing. But it doesn't have to be something so big. It could be, as I teach a class, right after I've taught it, maybe I'll record a video lesson of it that I can use the next semester. And or maybe I'll write down my thoughts on this, or I'll take a lesson plan, some lecture notes, and turn that into something that could be part of a textbook. And maybe just over time, you work up to something that's now original to you, but also you've created a tool you can use, and you know it's going to help students as well.
Sweet, sweet. So people are going to want to know where your stuff is. Where can they find your OER materials?
Well, it's on OER Commons. You can find my English 101, 102 courses there. Yeah, there's
Great.
links to YouTube videos and everything you need.
And they are linked to the OERizona network. So if you go to the OERizona hub on OER Commons, you will find Dr. Jacob Lauritzen and his materials there. Thank you very much. Dr. Lauritzen is an English professor at Eastern Arizona College. And so we thank you for your time today. And thank you.
Appreciate it.
So anyway, yeah, have a wonderful day. You can learn about all things OER Arizona by going to OERizona.org on the web, and you can connect with us on our YouTube channel at OERizona. And please subscribe and like our videos and podcasts. We appreciate the help, and have a great day.